Hello. Okay, I don't know why it came over here. I have been playing around with some stuff. Hello, Kieran. Thank you for raiding. How was the end of your stream? Hope it went well. I literally am still just getting a few bits sorted out. Just need to send out a tweet that I am streaming. So how was the end of your stream? Go and have some fun on Coppice. My Twitter banner. Get that sent out. Very sleepy. Don't think you got enough sleep last night, and waking up so early didn't help. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I am currently half asleep. But yeah, tomorrow's stream's going to be more UVing, but going to do some off-screen UVing as well. Yeah, I mean, your UVing looks a lot more advanced than mine. My UVing is mostly, I want this to be this button, so therefore I'm going to put all of the faces on this colour. So, though you may notice that something is a little different. Something about my face. Maybe it's something about my eyes and about my mouth. I now have in-betweens on the eyes, so they blink a bit smoother. And I also have 3 settings for the mouth. I may end up changing the mouth some more and giving it some more in-betweens. We'll probably play around with that a bit later, maybe. But yeah, it's looking good, and it works in all of my facial expressions. This is what I was working on last night, so you can see that it well, it works here, and you can see, well, I get a small one, but then it gets a bit more rounded here. Then it sort of widens up a bit more on this mouth, and on this one it doesn't look quite as open when it's not open. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to play around with in terms of volumes and stuff. I think one thing is, at the moment I have thresholds, and they're just basic thresholds, but I think maybe what I need to do is change the thresholds so that you have like a band, so that if you are in that band you don't change. So if you are, so you get like an open close band. So if you are go above the open band, it switches to the level, but if you are in this other band that's just below, you don't change until it goes below, if that makes sense. So it's like if it's between 0.2 and 0.3, like the volume goes between 0 and 1, then effectively if it goes above 0.3, switch to like the middle mouth, but if it goes down to 0.2, you keep the middle mouth until it goes below 0.2. So yeah, though I do have a neat new debugging feature for all of this, because I was like, how can I visualize this? Because I had a lot of stuff that was logging how it was like logging all of the values for how loud I am. And the problem is that when you're looking at values, that doesn't really make much sense. I've also made the algorithm a lot better. Before, it was literally just reading whatever the microphone is and like change it every change it as the microphone level changes. Now it is set to use the maximum, and every time it updates, it gets whatever the maximum is and increases it, and then it slowly over time decreases it. And then as I speak again, that will change the maximum, but if the maximum is fairly high and I go quiet, it will still decrease it until that level, so it just looks a bit more natural. But for the debugging thing, it's something very simple. I have a cube, and a cube that changes colour. And I've actually also been integrating, even before this, just before this stream, I have been integrating Stream Deck, because previously I had a bunch of Stream Deck stuff that used keyboard shortcuts, and the problem is keyboard shortcuts, you have to have the overlay in the foreground for it to work, whereas Doig showed off the Stream Deck integration in Unity, where you can basically buy something from the asset store for it's like £12–13, and you get a Stream Deck plugin, you get this thing, and you just basically mark up like some methods that you want to be able to call, and then the Stream Deck, you actually you add your thing, and then you just type in the method that you want, or various other things. And what it allows me to do is create buttons that talk even when it's in the background. So if I type my debug mic level, you can see that I now have a cube here that will appear behind, and if I'm fairly quiet, it's good. If I get a bit more louder, it goes yellow, and then if I get talking much louder, it starts going red and sort of jumping up because I haven't got the origin quite right on it. But it gives a good representation of the three states, and I'll be able to change the states and tweak it. But this just gave me more of a visual representation than just seeing a lot of numbers, so I can turn that on and off so I can debug the mic levels. So that is quite a fun thing that I came up with. And all I'm literally doing is scaling a cube and changing its colour. So anyway, we are going to be working on Coppice today, and I have forgotten where exactly we are on Coppice, so we will get back into that. I am obviously in the best state of mind, being rather tired, to determine exactly what to do on Coppice, but oh well, we will figure things out. So let us go and have a look at the code. Yay, everything's working this time. I haven't completely broken everything. I still need to come up with a better setup for this, because maybe the camera needs to be lower or something. Maybe this room needs to be bigger so I can have a bigger screen, because I don't want to change my size. So I do actually think I'm... What is my size? I think I'm a good size for everything, so maybe I just need to make the screen bigger so that I proportionally am smaller. I also want to potentially raise the screen up a bit and put it to the right so that I can almost stand off to the side without covering it, so it's like the screen is not taking up the full screen, it's scaled down just a bit. But that is stuff we can play about with later. For now, we are going to be working on Coppice. So one thing I will be able to do that I have realised is I could put my expressions on my Steam Deck, so that when I want to change expressions during like times like this when I'm coding, not touching my controller, and the controller turns off and I want to just quickly do something, I've got to wait for it to turn back on, I could have my expressions back on the Steam Deck and be able to do it that way. So that even if the controller's off, I can update my emotions. Emotions controlled by the touch of a button. What on earth is going on there? So how do you think the mouth looks? Because I think overall it looks fairly good. It could be smoother if I did some in-betweens, but at the same time, I'm not sure if it needs to be smoother. It maybe just needs to stop vibrating quite as much when it gets onto those thresholds. Like if I fix the vibration, it should hopefully open and close, and just having 3 states for it, and it being a little what's like low frame rate looks okay, at least to me. I'm obviously going to have to tweak some of the things, because I mean, for example, this one is a little bit iffy. This one could be a bit better. This one I like. I think it's quite good. And this one seems to be pretty good, as does the main one, so we'll see. Yeah, it's not being smooth and changing the bit makes sense. Like when it goes smoothly up and down, I think that looks great. It's when it vibrates a lot rather quickly, when it's just on that cusp between, it's a little, that needs a tweak. So we'll see. I need to tidy up on my desk so I can put stuff down, because I was meant to do paperwork earlier and I got all the paperwork out and I never got around to it. So let's have a look. I have downloaded the latest version of Coppice, which is not of Coppice, of Xcode, which now builds and runs Coppice. It used to build it before in beta 2. I didn't want to try beta 3 because that apparently broke Xcode 13, but beta 4 seems to work fine, and it also builds okay. And the reason that's important is I'm yawning a lot today. Some of the stuff that we have added is depends on Xcode 14. The mute. Oh, I need to fix that mute icon. It should only be showing up. It's because these scripts here. I reload. There they are. It's selected them. At some point, I will get round to fixing that script, so that it correctly handles all that. But not today. It's not going to be something that gets fixed anytime soon. Right, so I've realised Why it's not showing stuff up, because in order to make sure Coppice was running, I stashed everything. So, apply that stash. Cider and chill kind of day. To be honest, for me, cider is something that I only have when it is very sunny and warm. Like a cold day like this and a dark, miserable day like this, at least where I am, it's not really cider weather here. Right. Let's see. So I believe in M3 data we had our unit tests. It's a shame I couldn't go for a walk this morning, because one thing I think I figured out is that I know going for a walk is meant to help, but usually I go for a walk around 2 PM, and I've realised, oh, my brain starts waking up around 3-4 PM, which is a very late time in the day. But on Thursday, I went for a walk at around 10:30, 11 AM before I went and got some food. And my brain started waking up around noon. I'm so yawny today. Not even... I feel tired, but I actually slept well. That's the most annoying thing. But yeah, I managed to go out, but I haven't had a chance to do any sort of walk yet today, so... Hopefully tomorrow I'll get the chance to go for a quick walk, even if it's just a 10-minute one, get some fresh air and get the blood flowing. Right. So, if I go down to M3 data, we have all our tests, and model reader tests are failing. Oh yes, wasn't there some stuff? If I go to M3 data, we have a to-dos. Or had we? Medium-sized green, just down for me, that's a good distance, but the pace you usually walk you kind of done in 15 minutes, used to much longer walks. But yeah, I usually go, because it's very hilly where I am, and I usually go for a walk that's maybe about a mile and a bit, and that's only about, like, when I'm not like absolutely power walking, it is probably takes me about 20 minutes or so. I mean, I just naturally to some degree power walk everywhere, but it takes me about 20 minutes or so to do that walk. But the key thing is that, like I say, it's hilly here, so this isn't a I'm just going for a mile around a nice flat place. No, the elevation change I think is around 100 meters. Hello, Sinister. You fell asleep. Well, Kieran and I managed to stay awake, despite the fact that we're both tired. This just seems to be the stream for people who need to get more sleep. Which means that you probably missed all my explanation of my new facial expressions. Right, so we have persistent types. The persistence type has the model name and the persistence. So why are those tests failing? I thought we had implemented that. And that's the only one that are failing. Oh, it's the migration bit that is causing issues. Well, you can't have been asleep for that long, Sinister. I saw you in Kieran's stream, what, about an hour ago, 90 minutes ago, so you should have, you'll be able to get some work done still. I mean, what time is it there? It's still evening for you, isn't it? So something going wrong. Hot chocolate and a blanket. 10:30. Yeah. How important is it that you finish it tonight versus tomorrow morning? You know, I have just realised something. Wasn't there meant to have been an Annie Morning challenge today? I guess India's still recovering. Doig's voice has gotten so deep that human hearing can no longer perceive it. So, nothing in the tests. Alright. I know what I need to do, but for some reason my brain is not making me do it. Which is, I want to go into there. I'm going to get load plist from dictionary, and then that is going to go through. Oh, were you trying to do it in 3D or 2D? The only animal in challenge I've ever done was the one where it's just do anything you want. Because then I could do something that was actually in my wheelhouse. Didn't. Oh. I still have the Stream Deck thing. Oh yes, edit profiles, duplicate, Xcode, beta, and this one's the other beta. Okay, okay, voila. Now, one thing I'm noticing is there do seem to be a lot fewer lurker bots around on Twitch these days. You had no idea how to animate over an existing video. It was a disaster. I can imagine that being hard. I mean, in a sense, it's almost like the reverse to some degree, because you're not animating the character and then having the background go beyond it, because usually I would assume you would have at least like a storyboard or animatic that you can potentially work on, from which they've worked out the camera moves and stuff for the background, even if you get the background before you've finished. So, but yeah, I can see that being hard with all the movements and potential perspective shifts and so on. But I mean, my extent of like 2D animation is basically what you're seeing on the face of my bot. Like, just very simple animations. If it's animating stuff where it's like I've got vector shapes and they're moving around and all stuff like that, I can do that. But when it comes to anything more advanced than that, I can do like the bouncy ball. And that's it. Right. So what I want to do is I want to re-enable those. I want to go to my tests. I want to find out right, so this is version 2. So we're going to go into here. Go plist types. We've got version 2 and version 3. Yeah, new animations. Let me show you a bit closer up. So, go in here, I'll come right up to the camera. So yeah, I have animations on the eyes, which I've basically just added some in between so they don't just like flick. It's very subtle, you can't always see it. But yeah, the mouth also has multiple states now that open and close. So I want to do some tweaks there, but I'm probably not going to do in-betweens. I was thinking about it, but I think Kieran agreed as well. On the monitor, he likes, and I like the almost like the low frame rate of it, where it's just flickering between things. I mean, when it starts vibrating a bit, I need to tweak that, but yeah, and I've got it for all of my expressions. So for happy, it works like so. But the blinking, for some reason, it doesn't seem to... I don't know if it's just my eyes can't see it, but it doesn't seem to show. For this face, you can see that it opens up a bit when it gets to the loudest version. For this one, it's a bit more subtle, but I think it looks okay. You can actually see the smoothness of the eyes blinking a bit more in this one. And then for angry, it's a lot more, well, a lot more animated, a lot bigger settings, which I think works for angry. So yeah. I think this one needs a little bit more tweaking. Like on the left hand side when it's open, I think it needs to be a bit more curved rather than the straight edge on it. But I think this one looks great. I think this one looks great in terms of the mouth. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased. And once I just tweak a few things, which we may do towards the end of this stream, I will then be able to start working on other stuff, such as pixelated versions and terminal versions and letting you change my face, which will go well. I'm sure it will. Anyway. Let's get back. Right. So, we're going to do that. We're going to get the first, and then we're going to get the P list. Okay, and then I should be able to do something such as P list. This representation of model type. Test system. Actual. Let's test objects. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing to actually get access to that. Model type. Value animal. Am I in the wrong? Okay, so the stuff is there. And then migrate to next version. We want to go here. So we get that. Animal ID. And then if I do animal, do persistence representation. Okay. So we go through here and final animals. Okay. Okay. This. So we have that, and then we can go up. Okay, so we have stuff in. Is that what you thought was a blanket? It was actually a bed sheet. We have to go get that actual blanket if you want to be cozy. Okay. Type animal. So create and delete objects. So we have no existing IDs. We have 3 new IDs. IDs subtracting. So we create the new object, new object, new object, PO collection dot all, map B. So we have those. Okay, and then we go do that. Okay, so I can disable that because our model type is robot, so I can skip ahead to here. Our model type is animal. So we then want to go into update objects using plist representation. Okay, we get that. You have the model file properties. Image which we have, and then we're going to here. That's that. Where is stuff.plist representation is that. Why does it fail? Everything looks fine. Why does the test fail? Collection 4. Newbie question: when the build a test fails, does the program indicate to highlight which line of code the problem originates? Yes and no. It tells you which test failed. Like when a build fails, if you have a compiler error, it will generally point to the line where you have the test where you have the build failure. When a test fails, it generally doesn't know exactly which line failed. So there are certain things you could do to explicitly rule out certain things, but it will just tell you certain test fails. So in this case, it is telling me that it expected there to be an animal of this type on this. Alright, let's set that there and let's see what we're actually getting at. Because all the migration stuff seems to be correct. IPO animals collection. So that is correct. So yeah, with the test, it's telling me that this particular line is failing. And the actual test error is expected non-null type of value animal XCT unwrap fails. Now the reason this fails is that I have this XCT unwrap. And what that basically says is, this is an optional thing. It's something that could be nil, which means that there's nothing there. If it is, then throw an exception, basically fail the test. Otherwise, we want to continue. And it means that this thing is therefore treated as not optional, which makes things a bit simple later on, because optional, like if this was optional, then technically this could be like animal 1.plist representation could be optional, but if it's not optional, then it's not. So it just simplifies things there. So if I do that dot all, they're all there. Dot map ID. Okay. So we're failing. Okay. So we're failing. Yes. Migrate pillars to the next version before loading. So I was looking at the wrong one. This goes through multiple versions. So this test here is failing at this line. This one is failing at this line. So PO animal 3.plist representation. And we don't have the image. Okay, so is that an issue in the test data? Oh. Ah, yes. I know why these are failing. Well, this one I'm not sure why it's failing. The first one I do know why it's failing, because our first plist type doesn't have animals in it. So therefore it is going to find nothing here. But we can fix that by animals is going to be that. So that should hopefully, if I then build and run this, that error should have disappeared, but this one should be a, yeah, so we've got this here. So therefore the error that we're now getting is that we're not reading model filing, which is probably a model reader flaw. So we can go to here and go to here. Item.model file properties is image file plist is nil. Which is to be expected because there is no image element. No image element there. And it's showing no image element there. There should be though. Oh, I've stuck that on the wrong thing. That should be on there. That should be on there. So, if I disable that, go back up here, and test again. Okay, so we're still having a slight issue. This one now fails. This one Right, this one succeeds, this one fails, which basically means that is an issue in V1. And yeah, that was correct up here then. Because you want that on there. It's still failing. So we want to setting animals to that. No, animal P list. Suburb. Awesome. Have that. Have the image. Dot. Station. We have the image. Therefore we go there. Yeah, so we have that. So we're going to go there, and then we're going to go into update object. There's your suburb. No. No. Animal we have. File, so it's there. PO item.model file properties, so it's there. In there. Get a model file. Now a model file. That. Okay. Those I want to go get rid of that. Test. Okay. Do we have a model file? Oh, model settings where it's failing. Shit. Oh, because I don't have zoo efficiency in P list 1, do I? This setting. Right. Now this should hopefully work. Brightening up a bit outside. Get rid of that. Yay! It finally works. Okay. So now that all that works, I think what I can do is commit this. Model slash writer data. I can push that up, and we can go here, and the next thing we're going to be doing is we're basically moving up the stack. So the next thing in the stack is Coppice core, which we are going to run tests on, and then it will probably fail to compile. There we go. Because M3 data is the lowest level, and it is just abstract data storage and now writing to disk and so on. Whereas Coppice core is like the low level Coppice kind of things. It's a toolkit for building Coppice. So we're going to have a look through the errors that we have. Once it has finished building. Taking its time with. Taking so long. Okay. Module for Coppice. Oh, nice. Done. Stuck on building something. Question is what? Taking that long. Oh, yeah. There we go. Build failed. Right. Does not conform to model object. Right. So the things we are going to have to do is go through and update stuff to use plist key. All of our model objects. Don't particularly care about those errors. Model reader we will be able to delete because we're going to replace that with the other model reader. Same with model writer. Yeah, so all of our model types, we need to make them conform. Then we need to switch to using model reader and model writer in the thing, which requires us creating a new plist for the current version that will migrate to a plist for the new version. So what I am going to do, as I am out of tea and my brain is still waking up today, I'm going to nip downstairs for 5 minutes, because I've been streaming about an hour now, and I'm going to make myself another cup of tea, the increasingly traditional early in the stream get second cup of tea break. So I will see you all in about 5 minutes or so, and we'll start getting these updated, because I would like to get Coppice core, at the very least, using all the new M3 data stuff without canvas link. Get the version 2 plist implemented today. I'm hoping it won't take too long. So, and then we want to do the migration to version 3. So, yep, I will see you all in a little bit. Okay, I am back. So, let's get back into this. Let's see. We need to go through and update all of our stuff. So what we're going to start with, let's start with the page because it's the biggest one. So this wants to be a model. Oof. This is so slow. Okay. So we've got model peerless key. And of property. So now this all fails. So what we want to do is we want extension model peerless key, and we're going to do enum page. Now I'm going to have to quit Xcode because something is when it does that, when you quit Xcode and that quit. Okay, Xcode is not quitting. Let's quit. When Xcode does that, when you quit and it basically you see it closing multiple files, something has gone wrong with it. Now this should hopefully be a lot faster to load. So if we go up here, I want to do static let ID was model peerless key. Well, actually no, we don't need to do ID because ID is fine. So title. Actually, good. Be able to do it like this. So if I do that, I can do that. Static let this equals model peerless key dot value. There we go. So then what we can do is do dot page dot do super slow something where it something is seriously slowing down. Check some. Hide console. it's not that, so what? That using 60 odd percent of CPU. Don't know why my computer is going so slow. I mean, the computer itself isn't slow, it's Xcode that's slow. Is it just because I have this open twice? That if I did that, it's going to let me... That page, that... Yeah, it must have just been because it... Oh, it's... Oh, again there. Maybe it's Xcode 14 beta 4 that's slow. Okay, so this wants to be dot page. And we can get rid of the row value. Page dot preferred size dot page allows auto linking. Oh, these set to optional. Okay, so now they've gone. So then what I can do is that... Did someone just throw something? I think someone just threw something. And I think that something went away. Oh no, I see it, I see it. There. There we go. I will move them back into view. It's a little hard. There we go. The bugs. The bugs now roll. And they have different colours. We have a blue one. We have a green one. And also, for subscribers, they're quite a bit bigger too. I do eventually want to have it where, like, mods and VIPs and stuff, it will all be, like, different sizes for them too. I was going to have followers, but followers are a bit tricky to get hold of. Subscribers are tricky enough, but there is an API code to check, is this person subscribed? And then I can cache that, so... Right. I've just realised something. Now that we have this typed like this, I can add RCF model update error. Is in data. So the key is that what if I added wired attribute to attribute key with key model plist type, which is going to be a T optional, and we're going to return self key T, but then we can do func acquired attribute key with key and this is rows. Going to guard let value equal self.attribute key act A else model object update errors the attribute not found key.row value else return value. And then I should be able to get rid of that. And then up here, for example, be able to do plist dot I do a build. Oh, I need to make them public. Then I can do plist dot attribute with key dot page. Oh no, this will be dot ID, and then hopefully Swift is smart enough to realise that wants to be a string, and then I can do plist dot all of these. So here, that's required. Do plist dot required attribute key that and get rid of that. And then here and here, just do dot attribute with key there. Hopefully, that is string. This one may fail. our all is going to be an array of the peerless key, which title.page.id in there as well. And here we can model peerless key dot page dot all. Okay, so we have things updated for a page. So next thing is folder, where we have of properties. If I could do with organising some of these better, let's. So we have our stuff up here, which is our model object. Then we're going to have attributes. That wants to be at the bottom. Order containable. Content. Relationships needs to be higher than that. And we've got helpers. And peerless goes at the end. So relationships, we want to have after attributes. Okay. So that is organised a bit better. Folder. Let's keep page up because we can organise this a bit better here. Definition. So model type. That is not there. So I'm going to stick that up there. But some of these are the model type definitely is. So that wants to be there. There, and that is just a bunch of presets. So we've got presets there. Do we have an init method? No, we do not. So we don't need an initializer. Then attributes. So does anyone have any plans for the weekend? Anything that you are up to over the next few days? Got some Sea of Thieves planned later tonight. Now, Sea of Thieves is a very fun game. Last night I was gaming with a friend and we played I mean, Sea of Thieves is our sort of go-to usually, but we played Deep Rock Galactic, which is a very fun game. We failed miserably the first time, but did pretty well the second. And a new, well, I'm not sure how new it is, but a game called HUD that was free on the Epic Games Store, which is sort of a co-op, almost Assassin's Creed style game where you are sort of Robin Hood and some of his companions who have to go around and like steal, like do heists and stuff. Other than that, it's just going to be Stellaris and whatever's in the freezer. Yeah, Stellaris is a time sink, though. For me, I just sort of, I don't pay too much attention to the story. I just sort of breeze through it. Bunch of last minute things before going back to uni. Oh yeah, you should. So this is your last term at uni, isn't it, Sinister? Or have you got more beyond then? Right, I'm trying to work out why on earth I did this like this. I know why I did it like that. Because for the containable is a natural thing, so that's why it's not a relationship. Going back to do a master's. I avoided that. Yeah, I mean, if you can get some work in, and that would definitely be a good thing. After I finished my bachelor's, it was very much a hurry up and get out of there so that I can actually start doing work on stuff. Because it took me a while to actually earn some money, because I insisted on being an indie developer, which didn't go too well the first time. Right, so we've got attributes, date created, date modified, containing folder contents. Right, so I think what I will do is stored attributes. Yeah, I think what we want is stored attributes and or rather not stored, persisted attributes. Other. Because for example, the content size is not technically no, let's not separate them all. Let's just have attributes and relationships. What type of properties? Okay. And then all the management. And remove, sorting, path, and then we get to plist. So, should be able to copy that. And what we can do, folder. And then we want title, we want date created, we don't want date modified, we want contents. And then we can delete that. We also want static for all model plist key. Return ID page. No. Folder.title. Folder.date created. And folder.content. You got your mod plist key. Go down, and then this is just going to be. Well, here we can just do .id, get rid of that, and this is folder.nose. Page link, don't need to transfer. Page link, shit. Okay. Content with this canvas. God, I forgot how many properties a canvas has. I've just realised I've had my code small this whole time, so you've probably not been able to see what I've been doing properly. That. I can get that. And my playlist. Um. So this is something that will probably need to change. Because one thing I realised is something that could happen are cycles. So at the moment, this up. Let me. once this is rebooted. There we go. So I can go in here and show you what I'm on about. So at the moment you can have a page and another page and another page and another page. And let's say this is page A. This is page C, B. And we have C and we have C. Now, these are the actual, these are the pages on the canvas, but the letters represent the pages that they actually represent. So you can, for example, have that, and then an arrow there, and then an arrow there. So you can have that. You will also be able to have, for example, C here, A to B to C. Now, this, I mean, if I do the before, this is fine because if I, a nice big eraser, if I do, like say I close B, oh that goes away. If I close C, oh that goes away. Like even if I have another page here that is D, and that links to that, then if I close B, all of that goes away. So far so good. But what if I can now have multiple things linking? So I want C to go into B. Okay. Well, if I close B, then there are multiple things going in, and so, okay. So I'm gonna close all that, and oh no. If I want to close B, yeah, if I close B, then all that goes away. Same as before. What if I close C? Because C now has an arrow, and previously, if you close, like there's an arrow going out to something, and you close it, it closes all the children. So you may think that, well, what we want to do is close all that. But no, because there's another arrow going to it. So what we're actually going to do is if you close this instance of C, it just does that. But there are other things that you can do. But let's imagine that isn't there. What if I then went from C to B? Well, okay, that's not too difficult. We can apply the same rule. If I close B, then, or if I close C, then we see, okay, it's pointing out to B, but B has A going to it, so we're going to close C there. That is basically the same thing. The only difference is that this instance of B had an arrow going to C. If I close B, what happens then? Well, if I close B, it's going out to C, and then it's going in. It's got an arrow going in. So I'm going to close the child. Okay, the child is closed. Child is closed. That is closed, and then I only have A going in. So we can work around that. But then, and the reason that works is that we're going to close the children, and then before we close B, we are going to have to see, is there anything going into it? Actually, thinking about it, we did see going into, yeah, so we need to see if something's going into C, but we need to make sure that the thing going into it is B. So we get a few other tricky things here. So let's erase this. So all of that so far so good. There are two tricky things, and it's around D. So imagine that we have that, and imagine that we have that. We have those arrows. So if I close D, simple enough, that happens. If I close C, well, that goes, and those arrows go. Simple enough. What happens if I close B? Can you see the problem? If I close B and the rule is we go through the children, well, if we go through the children in the order, oh, we're going to close D, and then that is going to clear that up, and then we're going to go to C. C has an arrow going into it from B, so that we can close that, and then we have B with nothing, and then we can tidy it up. But what if we close C first? Well, we're going to go and look at C and see, can we close it? Well, we have B going into it, so we can ignore that one because we're closing from B. But we have D. Actually, no, yeah, it probably would all close, because what would happen is we'd close from C, but we'd see D is going into it, so then we could... No, it wouldn't, because then we'd erase the link. No, because the B there, it's one going into D, so therefore we can close D, therefore we can close C. Okay, so maybe that does work then. Because if we say we're closing C, we cannot close C because there's something going into it. What we can do is close that link, and then we'll go around and go here, and then we would have we close D, close it, yeah. Now the part of the trickiness is that if we had that, if we had a link there and that went into there, this is where things can potentially get tricky. Because if we apply the rule, because our rule is close children, well, no, we'll write out the algorithm later. But so how would this work? If we close C, again, that all works fine, because close C, B sticks around because A is holding a reference to it, and then B is holding a reference to D, so D sticks around. If we close D, same thing, the only there's a reference in, we can, like, it can delete references going in just fine. One reference out to C, and C sticks around because B and A are holding to it. If we close B, if we went and closed D first, then again it works fine, because we'd close D, yeah, I think this is where we get into a problem, because what happens is we say, okay, we're going to close D, so D goes. As part of that, we're going to close C, so then B goes to C. Well, we're not going to close C because A and B are holding the reference. So then B would say, okay, I'm going to do C. Okay, that happens, so I'm going to close that reference. The problem is is that if B says, okay, I'm deleting the reference to the parent, there is still a reference from A to C to B. Now that, I suppose no, because we're gonna delete all parents to it, so that one does sort itself out. Okay. See, this is why you work through this stuff, because it helps you work this stuff out. So the last one that we want to do is, what if we actually have a connection to A. And then we close A, because if we close A, it's just going to close everything. Because there's no arrows going into it, and all the arrows going out, we're fine. If we close B, then what would happen? B can, any references going into B can be deleted. Then B can look at its children. We'd look at C and see there is a reference going into it, so it won't delete it. But then it will close D, and D will in turn then go and close its children. If it's already checked C, then it's got rid of that reference. And then it will go there, and then go there, and then go there, and then... Yeah, so... Yes, this is... Because I've been thinking of this in terms of memory management and how you can have retain cycles. But we're going to have something different. So a retain cycle is when you have something like this, where A retains B. Now the key difference here, and this is why, the way I've been thinking about it, I've realised it's wrong. The only thing that can, like if A retains a reference to B, that reference is on A, and B can't do anything about it. It generally doesn't even know about it. But we can have B can know about it in this case. So the issue here is that if I close B, well, B can try and close D, which is fine, because there's enough going in, and then it can try and close C, but what you basically end up with is A owns B, B owns D, D owns C, C owns A, and then you've got to break one of those. So if you don't break one, then you get a loop. And like even here, if I broke that, well, okay, I've got a loop there. What happens, and this is the key thing, is I can work backwards. I can say if I am closing B, then anything going into B is also going to close. It's just inherent. Any arrows going into B, if I am closing B, any references to it will close, and that is where it gets different. And then we can go in, because if I do that, I'm going to close that, and then this doesn't matter if there is any sort of loop here, because there won't be a loop, because we're basically separating that bit off. Now, if there are things where, for example, A is referencing C here, then C will stick around, because we'll do that, but there won't be a loop. So, our algorithm is you close page X to clear links to X. Then for child, yeah, for each child, go to 1. because then we're going to do that, and that's going to clear references to that. Hey, no. For each child, clear links from X if no links in, then delete child. 1, 2. Okay, so that's our algorithm. Fantastic. Right, so that is that fixed. Now the thing is, for the hierarchies, we then need to be able to restore those. So the hierarchy stuff, that's going to be something that we're probably going to have to rethink, because there can be parts of the hierarchy that aren't there anymore. There's stuff that can, and then if you reopen stuff, I suppose, because the page hierarchy, if I bring us back to the code, so page hierarchy takes an ID of its own, takes page ID, which is the ID of the canvas page, the frame of the page, and any children in the hierarchy. So what that is going to do is, yeah, what we need is, for a page, we just want the links to and from it, and then we can work that stuff out. Yeah, that is going to be a bit complex to work out, but we will figure it out. Anyway, I just need a quick bathroom break, and then I've had too many cups of tea, and then we will finish off getting these canvas pages and canvases and stuff hooked up to the P list. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so what we want to do, canvas, yeah, the page hierarchies. So we're going to do that, and then that's going to be plist dot attribute with key dot canvas dot close page hierarchy. We'll work that out later. That was a detour, but a necessary one, because now we've sort of worked out the algorithm. No, actually, I have just realised. I have just realised one thing. Let us just go back to the iPad briefly. So, it doesn't matter what the actual pages are in this case. What we want is, we have this, let's just say this is B. So A to B to C, and then we add a link from C to A. Now, at this point, if we close B, it closes C. If we close C, it just closes C. If we close A, it closes them all. If we have that, every single page we close closes all the other pages. And the question is, would you want it to close all the other pages? Or, like if I close B, that would close C, which would close A. Because our algorithm is closing B, therefore we clear all the links to B. And then for each child, we clear the links from there, and then we delete the child. If there's nothing else linking to it, which there isn't. So in these cases where you've got a cycle, part of me says because you could say, well, if I close B, then I'd just close C and keep A there, because I did A to B to C. But equally, if I close C, well then I close A and I leave B there, but that doesn't make much sense. Maybe this is something where when we close it, we show up a warning saying this will close the entire thing. Because it's entirely possible that you want to close C, but then you want to leave A and B around. So these are the cycles that I'm worried about. You may want to close C and that closes A. You may want to close C and that leaves A and B. I mean, there's the option that you close just like when you have a cycle like that, you just close the page and any non-cycle pages coming off. So if you have a D there and you're linking to that, and then if you close C, we detect there's a cycle, and then we don't close that, we just do that. If it's B, then we're just going to close B and leave C and D around. Because if there's a cycle, any of them can be a route. So we assume that any of them is the route. So we just delete that and anything that isn't a cycle. Okay. So if cycle only delete x plus children not in cycle. That figures that bit out. Right. This is the joy of programming. It's not writing the code, it is pondering. And there's a lot of stuff where when you are programming, you can just literally be sat there seemingly doing nothing, just staring off into space. But that is because your brain is thinking through the options. I have certain days where I do not write a line of code, but I get a lot done because I'm like, okay, how am I going to solve this? Well, I'm going to do it this way, but wait, that leads to those problems, so what if I do it that way? So you're sort of working through all the things in your head, and it can seem incredibly unproductive because you're not writing anything, but you're doing the stuff that you're really being paid for, which is solving problems. You're not, like, code is the output, but you are not being paid to code, you are being paid to solve problems. It's like a journalist or a novelist. They're not being paid to write text, they're being paid to create a story. Right, so with key.canvas.always show page titles. Or in other ways, an artist is not paid to like move a brush around, they're paid to create an artwork. You're generally paying them for their brain, not for their ability to, like, anyone can move a brush around, it's using the brain to get the stuff out to work out what to do with the brush. Anyone can type text into a computer, anyone can write code, not everyone can solve a problem. I mean, it's one way that I distinguish between a programmer and a software developer. A programmer can write code. A software developer can solve problems. I mean, another great way of seeing it is people doing maths. If you give people a lot of maths in school, yes, they can go through and you tell them, okay, you've got to do this process to do this thing. So you teach them like addition, subtraction, you teach them trigonometry, and you say, okay, do this trigonometry thing, and they just go through the steps. It's like, okay, I need to do this, I'm going to do this to get this, to do this, and get the output. But then you get applied mathematics, which is when you get those problems where it's saying, well, if you have this and that and the other, and it's not written in a format that they understand. It's like, what do I need to apply to figure this stuff out? And it's knowing, okay, what problems do I need to apply? What are the pros and cons of them? How do I apply that? It's so it's just one of those things. I mean, you see it all the time. It's I mean, in art, paint by numbers versus just creating a painting from scratch. Well, lots of people can do paint by numbers, but actually having a blank canvas and painting something on it is a lot harder. So, and this thing, and there's no issue with just being a programmer. Just, okay, I've got this and I want to do this, this and this, because you can do an awful lot with that. or just painting by numbers. If that is something that you do and enjoy, that's great. But ultimately, when you are paid to do these things, you are not like the people who are paid well to do all these various different jobs. They're not paid for their ability to effectively like pull a lever. Effectively, they're paid for their ability to decide what lever to pull. And that's the bit that I love, really. It's the problem solving. So, and it's all problem solving. I mean, Kieran, like you with the UV, technically anyone can go and just do a UV unwrap, but actually solving the problem of how you do that correctly and what you need to move where and what you're trying to achieve, that is a lot harder. But it's also where the fun and satisfaction comes from. Right, so we have our model object definitions, then we have attributes, we're going to have KVO, so we're going to have relationships. There. Put KVO here. These are old relationships. I think that's part of old relationships. Relationship setup, helpers, and then we get to our plist. Extension, model plist key, enum canvas page. I'm going to put that there. We don't need the ID. Do need all the others. I mean, technically we don't need canvas and parent because we're going to be getting rid of those, but so we want self dot now static let this equals model plist key raw value. Stick that in there and stick that on there, and then we want raw all, which is array of model plist key, and return the ID dot canvas page dot frame z index page canvas parent. We're still going to need page and canvas. It's the parent that we're going to be getting rid of. But we will just get this working for now with the old method. Model plist key. Model plist key here. Model plist key there. Model plist key everywhere. Okay. That. Up there. That should work. Plist dot attribute string. Parent page, campus. Head index. So we want that to be an int. String. It does occur to me that maybe they may fail because maybe I think the IDs are now model IDs. These ones will still be strings because then the model ID is stored as a property. We're not actually finding stuff, but we can still do. This is definitely one of my favourite tunes in the playlist. And for anyone interested, it is Sumeria by Popsky. Which, if I said before, oh, I think he's got a new album out. Get that out. But it is. Oh, where are you? This album here. The Dangerously Magnificent Cosmic Adventure. And it has some pretty fantastic tunes in it. And it costs $5 US. And the other key thing, because it's on Bandcamp, they get the most, like, if you look at like what artists get paid compared to like the sale price, whatever, they get like pittance if it's on a streaming service or something like that. If you buy something on Bandcamp, they get a huge amount of the money. Like there are multiple places to buy something from an artist, and Bandcamp is one of them. Bandcamp usually gives them the most money. But they also have stuff like stream alerts and stuff like that. And they're very much happy to let you stream their stuff if you buy it. So this is all great stuff, and I've just gone through and bought this. I may have to. I'm going to look through some of their other stuff at some point, but yeah. It's nice that there are a lot of artists out there that are happy for you to stream stuff, and the thing is, because they're happy, like, I'm giving them money, but the thing is, I'm more than happy to keep shouting them out, because more people need to give them money. You should be helping artists wherever you can. They put an awful lot of time and effort into creating great stuff. Like, never give someone who's creating someone just say, oh, do this for exposure. Never say, oh, I'm not going to pay you, but you're going to get exposure. No, pay them and give them exposure. Give them money and then shout about how great the thing that they've done, that the money was, because it helps everyone. It helps other people find great stuff. It helps the person that's making it, be that someone making music or artwork or an app, it helps them go and make more money and make a living from it. So I'm more than happy throwing money at people and then celebrating them. Such as now we have Miracle of Sound, who's another great artist. Alright, canvas. Yeah, I think canvas page is done. So we just have canvas page. I do want to add more music to the playlist though, because 2 hours 50 minutes, so we're not going to get a huge amount of repeats, but we are going to get some. But especially the streams that go longer, I want to throw more music in so we get more variety each stream. So there's a possibility that on streams you may not actually get everything. Ella Boo Bella, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? What were you up to on your stream? I've just realised my controller isn't working. Let's give a shout out. Oh, I found the right thing. How are you? Welcome to the stream. This is my spaceship. This is where I do coding. I am a Mac developer and also a robot. Welcome. Hope you are all doing very well. Trying to learn Rust and decided to make a mod manager for Minecraft. Ooh, exciting. Rust is something that I want to look into at some point because it shares a lot of stuff with what I'm working in, which is Swift. It seems that an awful lot of Rust has taken stuff from Swift, and Swift has taken a lot of stuff from Rust, and they're very alike, but are different in various ways. So, how was your stream? It's always great to see new people coming in, and hopefully you are all doing well. This is, as I say, this is my spaceship. You can throw bugs at me, and we have stuff over here. That, I mean, there's not a huge amount over here. It's just a bunch of well, yeah. We've got a bunch of controls that don't work, which is generally not good in working in space. But yeah, this is where we're coding. You've never done a C-based language before. I normally do TypeScript, so it's a pain. Yeah, if you're not used to the more strictly typed languages, it can be a bit of a pain. I mean, Rust does have some stuff in terms of like the I believe it's the memory management, where it's simultaneously a bit awkward but also a bit awesome in the stuff that it does. So but everyone seems to be quite excited about Rust. It's, like I say, it's something that I want to look into at some point, but I'm not sure how much I would use it myself. But I see so many people excited, and there's a lot of cool things in it. But yeah, it's fun seeing all these new languages coming out that are basically improving things, so that you're not having to touch C and C++ quite as much anymore, which is probably a good thing, considering how C can, well, cause problems. Shreddit Official, thank you for the follow, and thank you Ella Rubella for the follow as well. I missed that one. But yeah, I am currently working on my app for the Mac, which is built in Swift, which, as I say, is kind of similar to Rust. It has influences from Rust, and Rust has influenced that. So it's usually what is used to build stuff for Apple's platforms if you're not using Objective-C. You weren't going to use it but needed to learn it for something else, so let's use that instead of React Native. Well, I mean, Rust has a lot of use cases elsewhere. I mean, I've seen there's someone on, I can't remember if they're on Twitch or not. They're going to be doing, I can't remember their name. Is it Chevy Ray, who does, they've made a game called Iconfell, but they've also started working on building a game engine in Rust, and they're tweeting about how they're building all these different things in Rust for a game engine, such as like collision detection and all stuff like that, which is quite cool to see. Let me see if I can find their Twitter, because maybe of interest to you. Here we go. In case anyone is interested, if you like Rust, like I said, they are currently doing a lot of Rust stuff. They're the one that fills up my Twitter feed the most with stuff relating to Rust. So. Oh, sure. Yeah, thank you very much. We're probably going to be doing a little bit of work on it. Once I just finish this last little bit, we're probably going to be switching over to Unity, so I could show you how it all functions if you're interested in that. But yeah, it is based on a few things that are well, a few streams. I'll give them a shout out. So. One of them that's doing something similar to this is Gwilym, who does a lot of game streaming, but they have built their own overlay in Unity. If you want to see someone who is currently in the modelling stage, then check out Kieran, who's in chat, who's currently modelling their bird, their avatar, which is called an animator, but the ones who really started all this and who are excellent, and if you love any sort of like animation, artwork, or just building overlays like this, there's DogSwift, who started it all effectively, and they have probably the most advanced overlay, and it is kind of ridiculous how good it is. But yeah, at the moment, I'm currently working on my Mac app called Coppice. I'm currently working on the latest version of it, which is requiring a lot of refactoring because I've realised the data model does not work very well with adding new types and migration and stuff like that. So we have spent a while doing some migration, refactoring, and we refactored the lowest level, and now we're working our way up the other levels. So I'm making things a bit easier to allow me to do some migration stuff. But yeah, if you have any questions about what I'm doing, about the overlay, about Swift or Mac development or anything like that, feel free to just post them, and I'm happy to answer any sorts of questions. Right. Oop, don't want to do that. Oh. Copy them. Oh. Right, let's try that again. Go there, go to the end, there. What IDE? I'm using Xcode, which is Apple's IDE for doing like Objective-C, Swift, C, C++. So it's primarily designed for developing Mac apps, iOS apps, watch apps, TV apps, and so on. So it's very much, it has its pros and cons. I enjoy it. Am I open to collabs? I haven't actually done any collabs before, so I mean, I'd always be open depending on what the collab is. Like, I'm always open to discussing stuff, so. Let's see. So what I'm currently doing is I have all these things here that are defined just as dictionaries of string of any type, which is how things are being stored. But I'm switching them over to using something more concrete because that will allow me to do the migration in a bit more of a safe way rather than throwing lots of strings around. But it does mean that I need to update all this code. Hi Uli, how are you doing? Ooh, there's a fair point, Uli. You're subscribed, aren't you? Throw a bug. Because most people, they throw the small bugs, but subscribers, if they use the channel points to throw a bug, it should throw a much bigger bug. I don't have DMs. What I can do is... Oh, that doesn't throw a big bug. Why didn't that throw a big bug? Curious. Shredit, if you want, best place might actually be email. If you try contact@mcubedSW.com, that's probably the best place to get in touch with me in terms of like DMs, stuff like that. Yeah, it should be, like for subscribers, it should be throwing a big one like that. I wonder if something in my code's wrong. Oh well, we'll check in a little bit. So I just want to get this last class done so that we get rid of these compiler errors. So this is going to be .canvas link. And then we don't need the ID one. So self ID, string representation, all that. And then we have this here where we're going to do plist dot attribute for key, ID. It's a big red button and suddenly you're in a subscription to Jeff Bezos' greatest hits. Yeah, I know how that is. Where's that? Oh, with key. Oh, Eloise, well, thank you for subscribing. That's much appreciated. Oh, I've just realised I should probably zoom in. Yeah, that is one thing that I haven't actually got implemented at the moment, which is when someone subscribes, it still caches when they've thrown. No, I don't think you've thrown a bug yet. So if you did, it may do a big one. I don't know. I'm still throwing all this together, so there are many bugs and things like that. So let's see. So we want canvas link, get rid of the raw value, get rid of that, and we want that to be a string. Stretch check. Okay. Probably a good thing because I've been working for a while and I haven't actually done any proper stretches in several hours of programming, so always good to get those stretches in on your hands and wrists and make sure that you're not getting too bad RSI. Yeah, I can feel that I definitely needed a good stretch of my hands and arms. Right, let's get this finished up so that we can see some Unity stuff. Right. Dot canvas link and at so that there. We also need to add a static bar or model plist key. Yes, Uli, I do know that I'm going to need a stretch animation for the avatar. Of course, what I need first are arms for the Pilkybot, which will be coming at some point. I have currently left the arm, well, I say left the arms off. Technically, the arms are there, they've just not been installed. They're somewhere in storage. Right, canvas link dot source page. Okay, so all of those in, so I can then do model plist key dot all, no, canvas link dot all. Fellow Chestnut, thank you for the follow. Hope you are doing well. What do we have here? That should be returning the model plist key. Let's just comment that out. Because I have realised that there's probably going to be some more things complaining. Or are there? Yes, there are. Model file properties. So this wants to be .page.content. And I don't think the arms are a separate kit. They're still at $6.99 from your friendly Apple reseller. Would they really be that cheap though? I mean, this is Apple. You're probably talking at least $9.99. Alright, so folder doesn't. Canvas, I believe, does have. Yep. Canvas.thumbnail, and then nothing else does. So if I build, we're still getting that. Kit pages. Okay, so that wants to be .page. Plist keys, and then we want to get rid of raw value. Oh yeah, okay, that's going to be that. Okay, build succeeds. We're not going to run because that will completely break everything because I have not got stuff hooked up correctly. But we're going to call it a day for working on Coppice. So I am just going to take a very short 2-minute break to get set up, and we will play around in Unity and work with some well, working on the overlay and seeing what we can do, and showing you all who have come in with the raid how this setup works. So see you all in 2 minutes. Okay, I am back. So, we now have Unity open. And what we are going to do is have a look around. So, this is effectively how the stream works. It is just a Unity game, effectively. I've created a spaceship, and you can move around these rooms around here. I haven't done anything with them yet, but you essentially are just building up a we put a lot of, well, we just build up your environment, create your character in it, and just run around like any Unity game, and you just build it, stream it to OBS. And in terms of like doing the screen sharing, it's fairly simple. Well, the way I've done it is fairly simple. There are two ways of doing it. So the simple way is you have something like a green screen, a magenta screen, blue screen, or whatever, and you just chroma key it out in OBS or whatever streaming software you're using. The other way, which I haven't done myself and I haven't figured out, because there are some, it's better, but there are technical issues with it potentially, which is you can use certain software that will capture a screen as a texture, and it will actually let you import it into Unity as a texture that you can put on, so you don't get issues such as what I have here, where you can see as I zoom out, it actually zooms this out, and if I move around, you can see that the angle is changing. So you don't get that if you import as a texture, because this isn't just something that is behind like the Unity overlay that's just been chroma keyed out, but I've done it this particular way. So in terms of all of the logic stuff, it's all actually quite simple. I mean, is there any particular thing that anyone is interested in seeing how it works? I mean, we've got all like the movement, all the facial stuff, which is actually new today on this stream, updating a bunch of the facial animation, basically adding some additional stuff for the blinking and some additional states for the mouth. So that is what I've been working on over this week, tweaking that sort of stuff. What was I actually going to work on today on the overlay? We've got the bugs sort of working. Been doing all the Stream Deck stuff. Ah yes, on the face I want to tweak something. So let's open up the code. Job project. So this is all written in C# because that's what's Unity. Look at the doors. Oh yeah, I can show the doors. So the doors, there are multiple aspects to them. So I think, yeah, I have them in. So the conference room door, I have a model for the doors. Model, don't want pill keyboard. Upper deck. Chip doors. So I have the doors here. Oh, is that one that I want? Oh yeah, no, it is. Because I have the left door, the right door, and the door trim. So I also have an animation, I believe. yeah, a state manager here, where it can change between doors open and doors closed. So it's just a basic animation that effectively is just sliding the doors open, sliding the doors closed. So how I actually get it so that it opens, that again, it's not too difficult. So what I have is on the door, I have a box collider here. And I've set it to a trigger. And you can see here, it just sticks out a bit. And basically, when you enter this box collider, it's going to actually invoke the door animation script. So I've got this animation script here. So if I bring my code up and door animation's down there for some reason. So when in Unity, when you have a box collider that's a trigger, and you have some sort of script on, you can have on trigger enter and on trigger exit. So it's colliders can be work in two modes. They can either be a collider that you can collide with and not move into, or they can be a trigger where they will tell you when someone moves in or moves out. So what you have is, where are we? When you enter, if it's the player that enters, we reset the trigger close and we set the trigger to open. Otherwise, on exit, we reset the trigger open and set the trigger close. And that basically tells Unity to switch between these two states. We've got our triggers here when it's open. It will, where is it? Transitions, door close to door open, which goes there. Because the condition is that open is set. And on this one, when the condition is that close is set, and it will always transition to close. So that is effectively how the doors work. It's just a simple animation and a collider with a script that just tells the animator component on the doors to move between the two states. So hopefully that explains that. So what I want to do is, if I go to the Pokebot, we've got our facial expressions here, and I've realised that I am in the way, so let's just let's shift over to this side for this bit. So you can see the expector. So I've got my facial expressions down here, and I have things such as like how often we update, the loudness factor impacts just how loud it is, because you get a value, I believe, well, you get a value that is like the absolute value, I believe, and what this will do is you can multiply by a certain amount, and that gives me roughly between 0 and 1. It will actually go above and beyond that, but it just makes it a bit easier to deal with 0 and 1. The reduction rate is basically how quickly it comes down, because what I have it implemented as now is it will take whatever the peak volume is and then gradually decrease that, but when something higher comes in, because I'm speaking again, it will increase the volume again, and that is how I'm switching between all of my different facial expressions. So I can actually show you the code that I've been writing. So we have stuff where we get the loudness from the microphone, but down here got the eyes where we're switching between different states so we can get all the blinking stuff in. But here we go. So the loudness has 3 states. It has quiet, talking, and loud. and then we have talking open, loud open. So we take all this, average loudness, we get the microphone loudness. Well, not most of the time. What we're doing is we're just getting the loudness from the microphone, and we're setting the microphone loudness to whatever the maximum value is. And then if it's greater than that, we're basically reducing it over time. What this basically means is that we're constantly setting this to whatever the maximum is. So if the current loudness from the microphone is greater than what we currently have in, then we'll increase it, and then we'll just start decreasing it. Every update frequency, which at the moment is every 500th of a second, we update things. So we get the microphone loudness, a loudness factor, and then we basically go through and just say what is the new state. And then we open it up, reset the timer, and set our new loudness. So that's all fairly simple. What I want to do is potentially have a talking closed and a loud closed. And what that will mean is if I go above talking open, but not above loud open, it will switch to loudness.talking. However, if I go below talking closed, which let's say that is 0.1, it will stay in talking closed. So what that means is that going up, you have to be louder than coming down. And what that means is that, for example, you get sometimes where it will vibrate a bit, depending on the, I mean, you can see it there where I'm just speaking like this, so you can see that the mouth is vibrating quite a bit. I want to reduce some of that vibration, and you can reduce it, I believe, this is my thought process, because it's sort of how I've got the microphone set up in terms of like the noise gate and stuff in OBS, is that it will go to loud open when we reach 0.6, but if I was to set this to say 0.5, then if it is already loud and we go to 0.5, it will keep it loud until it goes below 0.5. And then when it goes below 0.5, if it goes like between, because the issue now is that if you go like 0.59 to 0.6 and 0.59 to 0.6, it just keeps fluctuating. It's going to go to 0.59, so therefore we're talking open, then we go to 0.6 and we go loud open, and 0.59 to talking, 0.6 to loud, and so on. If we have this closed bit, then it will go from 0.59 talking to 0.6 loud to 0.59 where we're staying loud, and then we'll go down and you'll get to 0.49 or 0.5 and staying loud, and then 0.49 will drop to talking, but then if we go back to 0.5 we're still in talking. We have to get up, so it's like a bigger jump to go up, really, if that makes sense. Anyway, I've been ignoring chat while I've been explaining all that. You just went down the rabbit hole of old Mac hardware sizes. Did you know that a 10GB hard drive was not standard on Macs until the iBook, PowerMac G4 and the iMac DV? All the PowerMac G3s were equipped with hard disks like 6GB. That doesn't surprise me too much. I believe 95 was when my family got a Performer 5200, which had a whopping 750MB hard disk. For reference, this stream, when I create the VOD to upload to YouTube, will be what? Probably about 6GB, so it will fill even one of those PowerMac G3s. I don't know how they managed to do video editing on those things back in the day when it's that no, but then again, I mean, no, they would have been working at high resolution back then because they were working with film and stuff. So let's see. Hitchhiker's Guide Disappointed Home. I think that the Star Trek and the Disappointed Home could work. I couldn't think of it. It was a relaxing hum that was the sound. No, you've got the swish for the open close of the doors. The relaxing hum is the background. And you can actually get that on YouTube and just have that playing in the background. Yeah, the blue and white machine still. The original macOS 10 and Aqua didn't need that much. I mean, you could get away with a few gigabytes of RAM back then. Okay, so what I want to do, loop float, talking closed equals 0.1f, float, loud closed equals 0.5f. So if the average loudness goes above loud.open, we're going to go to loud. Else if the average loudness is going to be greater than loud close. Yes, is greater than this dot loud close. And this dot loudness is equal to dot loud, and new loudness equal loudness. Well, yeah, is loudness. Oh. Yeah, we'll do it that way because we could actually stick this inside of the greater than talking open, but this way just makes it a bit easier. So it's greater than talking open because that way we're doing it all just in one if statement. So in this case, if the average loudness is greater than this dot talking closed, and this dot loudness equals loudness dot talking, new loudness equals talking. I mean, technically we're setting it to the same thing, but it just makes it clear. So, if we go above the loud open, we're always loud. If the loudness is above the loud close, but we're already loud, then we keep it loud. We can be above that, but if we're not loud, then it will be talking. And if it's above talking closed, and it's talking, then we'll leave it as talking. Otherwise, if it's above that but it's not talking, which really it should either be like it should already be quiet, then it's quiet. So let's see what this looks like over here. So I can bring that down. Actually, for an easier comparison, let's lock myself, go back over here, and then let us play. Right, flipped camera, move forward, and let's see. Is this shaking quite as much? No, it'd be much better. To see the bottom one, as I'm in this sort of mid-range of speaking, can you see how it's vibrating a lot more than the top one? Top one seems to be a lot better. It still vibrates a bit, but it's not vibrating quite as much. So yeah, I think that looks a lot better. And it's like I say, if you have that difference between going up and going down, you don't get the vibrating between it, because you can still get some degree of vibration. But once it's gone above the level to get to the next stage up, it has to it has to drop further. Like, you can't just drop below the level you've just gone above and have it switch back down. It's got to go a bit further. And then when it goes down, if it drops below that level, you can't just ever so slightly go above it. You've got to go a bit further above. So it basically makes it a bit more forgiving and a bit harder to have those fluctuations. You've got to have genuine fluctuations rather than slight fluctuations, which you're always going to have because it's sound. It's sound waves. You're going to have some fluctuation in the volume ever so slightly. So this just smooths it out a bit. So yeah, I think that's okay. So what I'm probably going to do, yeah, I think I'm going to call the stream there because I need to get some stuff done because I'm running a D&D game tonight and I also need to get some food. So what we're probably going to do is go and raid. Let's go and raid Finite. Raid Finite. So we're going to go and raid Finite and have some fun there. If you've stuck around from the raid, you're going to enjoy Finite as well, because Finite does some very cool things with his stream, some fun interactive stuff, and he does a lot of cross-platform development for mobile, building, I believe it's logistics software for like the construction industry. So, I want to thank you all for coming. We've actually got a fair bit done on Coppice today. We have a Coppice core is compiling now. We still got a bit more stuff to do tomorrow, so we will get that done again same time tomorrow, 1 PM UK time. And yeah, we've got the mouth working a bit better. So tomorrow we'll be able to maybe do a bit of Photoshop work and maybe even implement some of the new faces and themes and get that hooked up to Twitch, at least by the end of Monday, hopefully. But as always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful weekend, and happy coding.